Hi, welcome to the next channel. Hope you must have seen my FreeNAS rig. I had a FreeNAS server, but the motherboard has 4 SATA ports, and I got temporarily some 3 PCIe to dual SATA cards, but the problem is it has occupied all the PCIe slots. It has just 3 PCIe slots, and like my day-to-day PC, which has more PCIe slots, and as well they have full-length PCIe slots as well, those shorter ones, but in this case it's just taken up all the space. So what I got today is a new PCIe to SATA adapter, something like this. You should understand, since you use FreeNAS, you don't need any expensive RAID controllers or something, but make sure that you get a very good PCIe adapter like this, in case if the motherboard doesn't have enough SATA slots, okay, SATA ports, okay. So I got this in Amazon, and along with this I got this bracket in case if I need to mount it on any server chassis or something like that, because at that point of time you may not have this regular slot, you need to use this bracket, okay, shorter bracket. Well, as you can see here, this is a PCIe PCI Express into 4, which is maybe stands for 4 lanes, PCI lanes, and it converts that to 6 SATA ports. My earlier one is just each one has 2 SATA ports per PCI card, and it is much shorter than this. So it's an interesting kit hardware, and as I said, you don't need any expensive RAID controllers or something, because we do with OpenZFS stack, which FreeNAS uses, so you don't need to do that. And moreover, FreeNAS need the direct disk physical access, unlike anything abstracting it like a RAID controller and then exposing it as some kind of abstracted disk to the FreeNAS OpenZFS or OpenZFS stack. This is also something we can find in the next tech tips video, where he built a SSD RAID, and then he did something, and then his Vonix server died off, and then he had a lot of issues in terms of recovering his data, because he is using a commercial RAID controller, and the problem is if the RAID controller gets faulty, or it gets any kind of fault or any issues, either one of the RAID controllers, then you are in trouble, okay. Whereas in this case it is not the case. It's just going to expose the drives as it is to the operating system layer or the software layer. So the software layer takes care of everything. You don't need to do anything in the hardware. So that's main advantages of using OpenZFS. It's just not about FreeNAS itself. In case if you have Ubuntu system, you can still build a ZFS pool with Ubuntu system, but you need to do with the command line and stuff. But with FreeNAS you get that abstraction with the FreeNAS UI. So what I can do is I can shut this server down, and then I can take you guys to my server, and we can install this. And besides this, I can also now install this display port, because the server doesn't have sometimes I get frustrated if it has any boot issues or something like that, then I need to fiddle around without any display port. So I can install this old NVIDIA GPU. So with that I get if I need to debug or change any settings in the BIOS, I can use this, and then I can do the same, okay. So what I can do is I can shut the same, and then once it is down, we can do that changes in the hardware, okay. As you can see here, this is the rig, and you can see here the motherboard has 4 SATA ports, and I can't use any more, and I totally have around 10 drives, okay. You can see here, hope the camera is in focus, so you can see it has 10 drives, but I need excess of SATA ports, so I have used this in the past, but the problem is it takes up all this PCIe slots. One is the regular slot, the other one is the shorter ones. So if possible, what I can do is I can install this board in this slot, and I can free up the rest of the ones, and moreover it is going to make the system more compact. I can tie down this wire and I can do a better cable management besides this. So far this much I can achieve, but with the new one I can do a better cable management. If it goes here, it can go here, and then I can install this GPU over here, so that I get that display. The only issue with this GPU is you can see here, since it is passive cooled, it takes up some space. Okay, in case if I install it here, it is going to take up this space as well, and it is going to render this port useless. Okay, so of course I got one PCIe flexible riser, which I can use it for temporary usage in case if it is needed, or if I need it to mount it here permanently, then I need to do some changes like this. So let us just remove this, and let me just do a quick install of this new hardware. Okay, you can see here I'm using this sort of a masking tape because this will prevent any accidental cables getting snapped up and stuff, and also it's kind of protects some kind of a dust. Okay, so this is not going to leave any glue residue. This is more going to be like your post-it note glue. You can just remove and paste as many times you can, so it is not going to leave any type of glue residue, so it's perfectly fine. As you know, the open ZFS, you don't need to mind whichever order you plug these cables in a different motherboard or any SATA controller like this. It doesn't really matter. It's just the open ZFS needs just access to those drives, and once it gets the access to those drives, it is well and good. It's not going to complain about any inavailability of disks and other stuff. So yeah, you can see here this is the old one, and this is times 1 PCIe. It is X1 to 2 times of SATA port. So this is going to populate all this stuff, and that is why it is not so adequate. So what I can do is I can use this new one, and I need to see if the motherboard supports. So I doubt this motherboard has a times 1 slot, PCIe times 1 slot. I thought it is going to support this, so I can install this somewhere here, and I thought I can install a display port here. So nevertheless it is still fine because I still need some empty PCIe slots. So in that case I can't install this display card. So having said, it is going to lot more tidy up the space, so still it is a good choice to buy something like this. So I can see here it is not going to support. This is more shorter, and it is definitely not going to fit over there. So it is a times 1, looks like it is a times 1 PCIe slot. So I can just zoom the camera and show you that. Yeah, you can see here it is just quite short, and it is not going to be adequate. Okay. Well, as you can see, it turned out to be half success and half failure, because I still can't use this bottom PCIe slots. But it is still fine, because I can now install a additional gigabit Ethernet NIC card, and then I can still keep one more slot free. And having said, of course, I can't use or install this GPU, and I can't still get that display issue solved, but it is looking a lot more tidier. You can see all the 6 SATA cables are now connected to the same, and I can put some zip ties, and I can further organize the same. So I thought anyway, since I kept it open, I removed the case. I thought now is the good time. I can even go ahead and install my TP-Link gigabit NIC card. So with that I can do some bonding and stuff. You can see this is the one which is the inbuilt motherboard NIC card. Along with that I can have additional NIC card. With that I can do some bonding and stuff like that. So let me just grab my NIC card and I can install that as well. So there's a change of plan, but it is still good because we finally have emptied these PCIe slots. Well, you can see here this is the TP-Link Ethernet card. I bought it quite a long back. I thought I use it for this server, but since it has no empty slots, I kept it away, and ever since I have not used it for anything else. So once in a while I use it for any testing in my PC, but I don't use it. You can see here this is going to be compatible, and this looks like just it is using a single lane or something like that. You can see it is shorter, and this should be fine to slot in over there. So this should be fine, and let me bring this light so that you can have a look. So you can see here the port and this NIC card, this should be fine. This should go there, and with that I get an additional Ethernet port which I can do bonding and other stuff. Okay, well, as you can see there, I have just installed the same. So both of them are installed, and we still have an empty PCI slot. I again put this tape, hope you can see here, I put this tape back so that it is not going to accidentally slide around or something like that. It's just going to prevent that, and further I can use some couple of zip ties and tighten it down. And also I have to close this slot, empty slot, so which is fine. Now we are good to go. I just want to quickly boot and test the same if everything works. So let me just turn on the power here, and we can just boot the server and we see if it boosts. So looks like they provided some sort of status LEDs. You can see here it is glowing in green. The old one used to glow in amber. So this long and short beep represents it is missing the display port. So BIOS warns us that it is something not right, and it is missing the display port, which is perfectly fine. It is still going to boot, and hopefully once it is all done, we should able to log in into the FreeNAS UI. We are back here. So let me just refresh this UI. It does take some time to boot. In general, it does take some time because it earlier waits for some confirmation, and then it slowly boots and it activates all that stuff, and finally it brings up that ZFS mount and other stuff. Okay, so we wait for the same. And besides, I can even ping this server. Okay, ping 0.98. So it does usually take some time, and hope after some time it should able to come up. And good thing is it has that sort of per SATA port LED or something like that. So I can even see some bottom rows of LED showing the status and stuff. So I don't know what is the sort of color code they have in case if it is some SATA port is not populated, which color it shows and stuff. I need to go through their small manual, whatever they have provided. They provided the small disk. I'm not sure it just contains drivers or any manuals, so I just need to go through the same. Yeah, it's just a generic brand. It's just I need to go through this disk sometime later. So we see that if we can ping to the device, then we are all good to go. Sometimes if there is an issue or some kind of changes, then BIOS may ask to select the drive, and you need to once again select your boot drive and stuff. So you may get stuck. That is the reason I thought I need to have a display port for any type of debugging. Although you don't get such things with the professional NAS devices like Netgear or Western Digital or any such devices most of the times. Okay, so I wait for a couple of minutes, and once it is up, then I can resume the record. Okay, so that is taking a way longer time than expected, so I thought it is better to debug. So I connected this display port via this PCIe Flex extension cable. I just covered a video about the same. For situations like this, especially in servers and stuff, you can hook the same without much disturbing the existing PCIe slots. But having said, in this case I have to remove anyway, and I have to plug this, and I kept this anti-static bag because I don't have to short anything lying beneath. Okay, so I need to be careful. But having said, you can see it is booting up, and if I need to see if the interface and everything is fine, then it is going to be fine once I reboot the same. So I have some issues, it is not booting up, so looks like there is some type of issue, or somewhere it is getting held up. Okay, so let me just go to the shell, and I can try doing a ping 192.168, 192 ping, yep, 192.168, 0.1. Yep, the cable is connected. Looks like there is an issue, or it is activating that other NIC card which I just freshly plugged up. Okay, so you can see here it is connected here, Ethernet cable. It is still not able to ping. So looks like this is the issue when I just booted up. So let me connect this to the other one, and let me see if that is going to solve that problem. Okay. Yep. So you can see here now it is able to ping. So looks like it is assuming this as the first network port. Let me go out of this shell, FreeNAS shell. You can see the network interfaces, config network interfaces, or I can go back to the shell, and if I do if config, hopefully we can able to see. Yep. Yeah, you can see here this is an interface, so this is the other interface. It is now considering this as the secondary interface. So due to that, looks like it is not able to reach or ping. So hope this could be the issue. What I can do is I can go out and I can shut down this server 11, and we can put back confirm yes, and we can put back that SATA adapter, and then we can try once again. Okay. Well, that turned out to be a bit of disappointment. So what happened is I ended up pulling the card out once again. I have installed the old ones as it is. So what happened is as long as this card is put, and it looks like it is asking some confirmation, or somewhere it is staying in the BIOS and the stuff. I have even managed to upgrade the BIOS and did a lot of things, but I need to have a display alongside with this so that I can debug what is exactly happening. Since I cannot hook a VGA card or anything, or graphics card when this thing is hooked up, so I don't have any clue what is happening in that mission. Having said, I put this card in my regular PC, and I was able to hook a couple of hard drives, and it's all working fine. I still need this card in case if that thing is sorted out, or else or in future if I migrate it to any different platform or hardware or stuff like that. It is always good to have something like this, because it is directly giving you 6 SATA ports. Of course, these are not going to be fast like your M.2 and stuff, but still it is more than enough when you have a sort of NAS build like this. And since it is exposed beneath as times 4 of PCIe, it should have adequate performance, so that is fine. But I couldn't able to get it working because there is something, it is staying in the BIOS and stuff. I find it very strange. And if I don't hook any hard drives, and if I just leave this card in the PC and boot it, and it's all working fine, but the moment if I plug any of the hard drives to this SATA port, it just maybe it boots, but it doesn't ping to that system anymore. And let it be the case like I put that other NIC card, I have taken out, I have done all sorts of experiments, it is still not working fine. So it is kind of an a disappointment, but again, as I said, I may need this card anyway. I may need it for some type of testing and stuff over there or something like that, but without any VGA or something, without any display, I can't really get to the bottom of the same. As I said, I suspected it is a firmware issue, or let me upgrade the BIOS or something, because I just need the system to just pass on over this and then boot into the operating system, so that further I can control things in the software layer the moment I get the root access or whatever and the network connectivity. Since it is not getting any kind of network connectivity, I just have no way to kind of fix this issue. So I pulled it out. I pulled out even that network adapter. I just connected back all those SATA times 1 into, PCIe times 1 into SATA adapters back once again. All the 3 are populated, and the server is up and working again, because it is quite critical. I need the server in case if it is needed something, I need it to pull the backups or some client work or something like that. I may have stuff inside other than this YouTube video, so then in that case I need it on emergency basis. So one advantage with this FreeNAS rig is you can connect any number of hard drives, and in case it is not finding those hard drives, it is not going to mess up the system. It's just going to alert you in the warning, and I used to get yesterday those alerts, but other than that you don't get any sort of critical issues. Once again, if you shut down the system and restore back all the drives, missing drives, and it is just going to show once a warning, and after that it is just going to move on. So that's the main advantage of using something like OpenCFS on a platform like FreeNAS, okay, and you can mess around with the cables, so you can put it in any order, it doesn't matter, it's just going to work transparent. So that's the main advantage. But it is interesting, and it's good also they have provided a small driver CD. I checked Linux drivers and stuff. Maybe I can even go through the source code and I can explore any optimization or anything is possible with some drivers like this. So it is quite interesting. It looks like it's a generic hardware kit, and along with this driver they have also provided some VGA card, generic VGA card drivers, and some network adapter card drivers like this RTL Ethernet controller and stuff. So they just put some bunch of assorted drivers. Looks like they have this one CD for their assorted hardware, whatever they are manufacturing. They didn't mention any explicit brand name or something. It's just fairly generic, and it is using a specific controller card, and they built all these drivers and some type of working hardware around it. But it is fairly done nice, and it's kind of working fine. I have tested over there, and performance wise everything it is fine. But I can't use it at the moment in the FreeNAS server. So I thought let me just sum it up. These things do happen when you build any server. Sometimes you may have some hardware, and sometimes it may be not adequate. You may need to find some solutions for the same. I have 3-4 ways to solve this. I can also do one thing is PCIe times 1 to standard 16 lane adapter I can buy, and I can plug this VGA card, and then I can debug that. Okay, that is a cheaper way, because it's just going to cost around $5 to $6 or $10 here and there. Okay, so if I convert to Indian rupees, maybe 350 rupees or something. So in that case, it's just a quite simple fix if it fixes and addresses this issue. If not, I need to change the processor. Then you will get native display support, and the motherboard has the display ports anyway. So if you need to change the processor, or I need to change the motherboard itself, and changing the motherboard is also not a bad option, because it is not a huge investment. If you see this way, the amount I spent on this card, spend around 60% more, you will get entire new motherboard. So that's also an easier fix. You'll get more PCIe Express slots, and you may even get more RAM slots. Okay, this contains only just 2 RAM slots. So if you have 4 RAM slots, you can put more sticks into the same. You can also buy a 4 DIMM and enable your quad channel DDR4 memory into the same. You can do all sorts of things. Okay, so that's also a possibility. Motherboard upgrade is not a bad option. And now the prices have come further down. AM4 socketed gigabyte motherboards, so even that can be a good option. You can have like 4 PCIe slots, 2 regular ones. So in one of them I can put this display adapter, and the other one I can put this one, and still I will have one more PCIe slot which I can put this gigabit Ethernet adapter or something like, gigabit Ethernet adapter or something like that. So things are possible. So that's what. So hope you learned something and enjoyed this sort of a log. So if you have anything to discuss, be in touch via mail. Thanks a lot for joining me. Stay tuned. Have a nice day. Bye bye.